guys, it is day 11 of my fasting November and I feel amazing and it's going great, but I want to talk about potassium. So if you're on a ketogenic diet and you want to lose weight, or even if you don't want to lose weight, ketogenic diet is not about losing weight. The only reason I lost weight in the early days of the ketogenic diet was because I was coming off of a refined carb-laden diet. I was very puffy, I was overweight. I was 203 pounds. I'm now 177. I got down to 158. I'm now 177.2 because over the last few months I've been eating carbs again. You know, they kind of creep back in, bottle of wine. So I'm doing fasting November. Now, fasting is intermittent fasting. It's not full fasting. I have done some very decent fasts. I did a 10-day water only fast. I did a 7-day water only fast. Like they were months apart. But I didn't do them straight away. I started on ketogenic diet. I did that for a good while. Then I started doing intermittent fasting. You kind of have to do intermittent fasting and ketogenic diet at the same time. Because anyway, you won't be hungry. You literally will not be hungry. But it takes a little bit of time for that to happen. And when you're coming off the carb-laden diet, the refined carbs, the bread, the pasta, the beer, that was my staple diet. You will lose quite a bit of weight quite quickly. A lot of that weight is the inflammation, it's the fats breaking down pretty quickly, and your body will churn it out. But then your body becomes very efficient, and it's much harder to lose weight on eating normal. Like ketogenic diet is not about losing weight, really. You will always kind of maintain blood sugar level. It's low inflammation and to maintain your blood sugar level so that your insulin is not constantly spiking. So you avoid hyperinsulinemia. That's really what the ketogenic diet, I think that's been lost in the whole mix of things, is that the ketogenic diet is not a weight loss diet. It's a life diet for healthy life. Like my bloods, I have other videos up about that, are amazing. I have almost zero cardiovascular risk. I'm much lower risk of getting cancer, not because I'm not fat. You can be fattish like I am on the ketogenic diet. Well, a lot of this has been put on recently from carbs, but you're not necessarily very skinny on the ketogenic diet. You're healthy. Your body maintains healthy muscle mass, healthy fat, and fat amount, for survival and for warmth and whatever. And it's very important that people kind of start to grasp that. It's about health. But initially, because I was eating a lot of carbs and I was puffy and overweight, you get the fat loss. So it comes like that. So now I'm doing fasting November, but it's intermittent fasting. So basically, this is my protocol. I get up in the morning. I do not drink. I do not eat anything. I have this and this. Cheers, big ears. And these are my little shots of espresso, which I make in my very cheap espresso machine from Lidl. And these are my little cups from Deals, which were $4.50 for, I think, 2 of them, but it could have been 4. I think it was 2 of them. I think they were a little bit expensive, to be honest, for Deals. These is coffee with cream. So this does not, the reason I have cream, which is high fat, obviously, is so that I won't spike my insulin. So milk might tip my insulin up a little bit. Insulin is the fat storage hormone. If there's no insulin, there's no fat storage. That's why people on keto can maintain their weight, and that is a revelation to me, is that I can maintain my weight. When I eat carbs, and especially if I eat them on an ongoing basis, I gain weight. So I have gained weight in the last few months from eating carbs. Starting about 6 months ago, there was intermittent refined carbs consumption. I'd like to call it that. So I decided, when it was coming into October, I decided that at the end of October, that I needed to take some action because Christmas was coming, and it was it's the thin end of the wedge, it's a slippery slope. And I knew that I would start putting on weight, and I wanted to have a good Christmas. So I decided to go on a restrictive diet, a keto restrictive diet. So that's where I eat less food and I eat it in a shorter eating window. So I've been getting up in the morning, having these sometimes 4. And then I will not eat until I come home from work, which is usually 5:40, 6 o'clock. I am not hungry during the day. I'm not cranky. I am just a lovely person. I'm very happy. I used to eat at lunchtime, but I discovered that, first of all, it's too rushed. And when you eat, you kind of feel it, you want to like do nothing for a while. I found that I maintained my kind of sharpness and good mood by not eating until I came home. Now, I would rather eat earlier in the day, between 10 and 12 being my eating window, but because I'm at work, I don't really have the opportunity to do it that way. So what I do is I do it in the evening. So look, that's tomatoes. So I come home, I eat my first meal. Usually it's honestly because it's so late by the time I'm eating, I would be a little bit hungry or just feeling like I want something. And today it was French camembert, which is pretty smelly now, but I do like it, with walnuts and a celery stick. It sounds so, but I mean, when I used to see people eating that kind of food, I used to be like looking down my nose thinking my diet was better. And my diet was so lacking in nutrients. It was just white carbs, basically, maybe some fiber from the carbs, like porridge and brown bread. But that was not the right food to be eating, because every time you eat those foods, insulin is released. And insulin is the fat storage hormone. Now, insulin is very important, and we love insulin. Insulin is a very important hormone. But humans, and our pancreas is we love you pancreas. It's very important to our body and to our health, but it was not designed to be used all day long. It was not designed to get up in the morning, which is what I used to do myself. I used to get up at 6 in the morning. I always get up at 6. Well, recently I started getting up at 5:25, but this morning it was like snooze until whatever, 5:40 or whatever. So insulin, I would get up in the morning, I would have toast immediately with my coffee, and I thought that was healthy because it was brown toast, not white. Then I'd be hungry again at 10 o'clock, I'd be hungry, so I would be snacking. Then I'd have a wrap at lunchtime, which I thought was healthy. But it's the carb part, it's not the lettuce and the chicken inside in the wrap and the cheese. It's the carb part. I never got that. And even when I first started keto, I really didn't understand. I was very, very lucky. Lots of people start keto and they never understand why keto works. I was very lucky that at the same time I discovered keto, in and around the same 2 days, I also discovered Dr. Jason Fung. He's a nephrologist who has moved into the cancer space because he became a little obsessed with insulin, because he dealt with type 2 diabetics. And for years he was dealing with them, handing out metformin, and he was going, there has to be something else. And that was what he was trained. He said he was completely doing what he was trained to do, Dr. Jason Fung. And he was like 20 years at it or something, and he was going, Jesus, is this it? And then he started investigating, and he started hearing keto stuff about, that you could reverse type 2 diabetes and all that. And at the beginning, he didn't believe it. He was like, this is a load of rubbish. Of course you can't reverse diabetes. It's a chronic illness. You're stuck with it for life. So he began to investigate more and more and more, and discovered, to his surprise, that you could reverse type 2 diabetes by going on a keto diet. Basically cutting out the refined carbs. I don't even know why we have to name it. I actually agree with Eddie Abu on this one. People said to him, you're promoting he's on TikTok and Instagram, Eddie Abu. Fantastic guy, transforming the diets and lifestyle of a whole generation of young people in the UK. So people were saying, you're promoting keto diet, because it's now he does carnivore, but he doesn't like to be boxing, doesn't like to be labeled. And he said himself, and he was a nurse that's how he started on his journey. He was a psychiatric nurse, and he was observing. He also had a gym, or was going to the gym, or some connection to the gym. And he was like every time he saw them eating cornflakes and stuff like that, he would see the patients going more crazy or more upset or more wired. And he started putting two and two together eventually. So people were saying, "Oh, you're promoting keto," and he said, "I'm not promoting keto. I'm promoting eating a proper food, proper diet. Get the shit out of your diet." And really, he was talking about keto. But when I first started on this and I started making videos, people have such a reaction to ketogenic diet. They have such a reaction, as if it's the devil incarnate is the ketogenic diet. It is bad for you. You will get a heart attack. I am less likely. This is the irony. I've had 2 blood tests now. My second blood test was better than my first blood test, my recent blood test. I'm getting another blood test at 25th of November. So I can speak confidently. My blood test the second time round was exceptional. My not fasting insulin. I didn't do fasting insulin. My which one was it? Oh yeah, my cardiovascular risk, my HDL to my triglyceride to HDL ratio was 0.38. It's supposed to be under 1.5, and you have very, very, very little risk. I almost have a 0 risk of a cardiovascular event, which is a heart attack or a stroke. I know people close to me who had a stroke. It's very unkind. It's a horrible illness, and it is not predetermined. You are not going to get a stroke. You're not going to get a heart attack if you follow a low carb diet, low inflammation diet. So my blood is beautiful and pumps through my veins beautifully. Now, I mentioned at the beginning, I hope I mentioned potassium. If you're on the ketogenic diet, you will need to take your electrolytes. You should be taking them on any diet, but more on the ketogenic diet. And I'll tell you why. Because you have no inflammation, your blood will flow fast and fluid through your veins. So we all need a lot of potassium, some sodium, chloride. So they're called the electrolytes. Now I take them all separately. I use sea salt for my sodium chloride. I use a potassium tablet, and I take it. This is what I have learned. Now, I'm on keto a good while. If you're on keto a long time, you need a little bit more potassium if you're doing longer fasting. Because my body is so operationally excellent now, I need the fuel to be A grade. So I take potassium twice a day, if not 3 times a day. So I take 1200 milligrams of potassium. It's in a container with a blue label saying potassium. It probably says other stuff on it, but I can't remember the brand. And I get it in the health food shop. It's one of the few supplements that I have that I cannot get in Tesco's. I usually buy my supplements in Tesco's. I've experimented with a lot of different supplements, multivitamins, whatever. The ones I have found in Tesco that work, I have a different video on those. They work really well for me, and I think probably for everybody. You don't need to spend a lot of money on these things, but I do think supplements are important, to be honest. In any diet, I wish I had taken supplements years ago. I think that I would feel so much better. So I increased my potassium to 2 tablets a day, maybe 3. I have noticed a difference because I would feel like my blood pressure goes up a tiny bit, but it's because you are dumping out electrolytes. When you're on the ketogenic diet, you tend to dump out more of the fat because you're in ketosis. Ketones are made by your body breaking down the fat cells that are stored on you. So the old fat cells that are stored on you, they are being broken down into ketones for the body, and that's being converted back into glucose for the brain. So the brain likes ketones and glucose. Everywhere else will deal with ketones if you're in kind of a low carb diet. Now, I don't agree with having no carbs all the time. There are people out there who are on carnivore and everything, and they are on, um, no carb ever diet. I personally do not agree with that. Oh, okay, it's not that I don't agree with it. They can do whatever they want. But we don't know. Those people could be on a lot of supplements. It's like Brian Johnson, he's doing the Blueprint protocol. He's trying to, increase his longevity. He's doing a lot of things that are not accessible to the general population. While I absolutely commend him and I follow him on YouTube, Brian Johnson, Bryan Johnson. He has developed this protocol, which he's doing himself, to increase his longevity and to decrease his age profile. I think he's about maybe 46 or 7, and he's now reduced his age. But he has a lot of supplements. He's done plasma transfers. He's done plasma, transfer that area where I park my car into my body. He's done plasma transfers and all sorts of things that we have no access to. Nor are we really that interested, like I want to be healthy, but I really couldn't give a crap about living till I'm 120. I don't need to live till I'm 120. I'm happy out. And the only reason I'm on this protocol, this ketogenic, is because it seems like the most natural thing in the world. I'm eating real food. I feel amazing. I feel energetic. I feel physically and mentally. I feel sharp. I feel, it's so incredible. So I decided that I would do this for November and that I would do fasting protocols. So I think some people might think I'm fasting for the whole of November. No. And I probably could do with it. The chubby shoulders there. But no. So, however, I lost 2.4 pounds. I was 179.6. I went down to 17. It took me 7 days to get down to 177.2. And now this morning, I want to cry. This morning I weighed myself and I was 177.4. Only me could put on weight while dieting and fasting. So that can be frustrating, but I will give you a reason for that. I had 2 very bad nights sleep, and that can increase your weight because of a water retention. So I'm putting it down to that. It's very likely it's that. So I'm still going to continue. I feel so brilliant. I feel so brilliant. But I will say to you, you need to take your electrolytes. I take all of my supplements. I think that it's so important to take your supplements. I have done experiments where I didn't take them and went back on them, and there is a difference without a doubt. And there's probably other supplements which I am not taking. Occasionally I take some other ones and I kind of add them on and stuff like that. But I really swear by them. I have another video. I'll link it in the description below. So also your fasting is easier if you are not eating any carbs. It's impossible. I'll say it outright. It's impossible to actually manage your fasting with eating refined carbs. It's impossible. Maybe once you could do it, or like I've done it once or twice. You have something. But it's impossible. And the day you eat carbs is the day you will not lose any weight. I weigh myself every morning, unfortunately, because I don't always like the result. And I keep a sheet, a chart. I write it on the wall, like I have a sheet stuck on the wall and I write it in. I have a TikTok on that. So you need to realize that you cannot do this without being on keto. So it's all keto is cutting out the refined carbs. But the problem is at the beginning, it's hard to cut out the refined carbs. You might do it for 1 or 2 days and then you'll go back. So you need to stick to it. You need to stick to it and say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to really do this. I started doing it for weight loss way back when I was 203 pounds and I got down to 158. But I kept researching, I got all the books I could out of the library, Metabolical, Dr. Fung, Why We Get Sick by Dr. Benjamin Bickman, Dr. Berg, I was watching his videos, Dr. Lustig, I was putting in Dr. Gundry, and I was watching all these people, Dr. Westman, Dr. Johnson, Dr. Perlmutter, Dr. Brederhausen, I think his name is. He's the guy who wrote the book about Alzheimer's and dementia. Like I have zero potential to have Alzheimer's and dementia, which is also known as type 3 diabetes. But people don't want to know like and I'm not preaching from height. I'm not Marie Antoinette. Let them eat cake. At the end of the day, I'm putting this down in video because it's important to share what I'm doing. It's also important to record it for myself. But I'm not doing this for any kind of egotistical, like there's so much information out there. And I have gathered the strands of probably 30 different doctors, some of them from opposing views. Dr. Berry, Dr. Chafee. I don't agree with Dr. Chafee. I agree less and less with Dr. Berry because they've become very carnivore. But I agree with them that it works. And I agree with them that they are right. We're all right, but we are, I just think that we live in the real world. It's hard to avoid carbs completely. Sometimes you're going to fall off the wagon. Sometimes you're going to want to, like over Christmas, I want to have fun. I want to eat chocolate. I choose to eat chocolate. I choose chocolate. I will eat a lot of Reese's Pieces. And I want to drink wine. And I might even have some beers as well. Although the thing about beers, you just go through the whole 20 small bottles of beer and you think, oh, that's okay. And while I agree with them and they are right, how healthy do you want to be? So I think that there's a moderate view. So my view, because of all the research I've done, which is comprehensive, is that there is a balance to be had. And I'm quite fun loving and stuff, So I think there's a balance to be had, a balance of enjoying the world around us as it has been presented to us, which is with some carbs, and also taking care in between, taking care of yourself and your health. One of the things that has struck me along the path of my journey is how little people want to care about themselves and how much they want to fit in with their peers more sometimes. You don't want to not have a wrap because they're having a wrap. You want to fit in with the crowd. And I understand that. I totally get it. But I suppose I have managed to be able to remove myself from that a little bit. And I have a little bit of reputation being on keto, so I get a bit of a slagging about it, but it gets me off the hook with having to eat any carbs to a certain degree. But I mean, I'm going to have a Christmas party for work and I will be at it and I'll be tucking into all this sugary shit. That's a quote from Eddie Abu. I'll be tucking into the sugary shit. I will be, because I'm not a hermit. I'm not living on an island. I live in the aisles of the Tesco's of this world and the Lidls, where I am seeing lots of sugary shit and sometimes I want to indulge. So this is why I'm doing this now. And I would really love people to join me, like seriously join me for November and say, it's not even about weight loss, but say, I'm going to do something for myself. I am going to give myself the treat of my lifetime, which is clean out my veins, clean out my insides, clean out my fatty liver. I mean, when I think about the way my liver must have been when I started this journey, it was fairly fucking fat, I'd say. That was one hell of a fatty liver. Nobody told me that. There was no doctor that I would ever have gone to, being on the verge of obesity at 203 pounds, that would have said, oh, I think you have a fatty liver. You want me to do something about that? You want to do something about that? There is no doctor, though, and we depend too much on doctors for solutions. Doctors don't do prevention. The general population of doctors, GPs, they don't do prevention. You've got to educate yourself. You've got to know. You have got to know what is going on inside your body. And Dr. Fung wrote a very good book about hyperinsulinemia causing cancer. I completely acquiesce with him. My brother died of cancer. My father died of cancer. And really, I would say my father died of post-COVID lockdown cancer. Not making any political comments about lockdown because I have no opinion about it. Only I enjoyed it. A lot of beer. But everyone was eating a lot of carbs, a lot of, which was great. But then people were also bored, and there was this kind of not moving around as much, and the kind of apathy sets in. And sorry, I'm not actually that itchy. I'm just I think I've got to be poking around. And it's kind of sad, because people are not listening. But I will tell you that I think the tide is turning on keto. I think that it will become mainstream. I think that there will be, the tide is turning in a positive way. I mean, look at Dr. Berg alone. He's got almost 13 million followers. And he's like the godfather of keto. And he's in America, but he's like the godfather of keto and knows a lot of stuff. But the reason ordinary folk like me, the reason I'm making videos is because it's great when you see one of your peers. I'm working off a budget. I am not perfect, and I want to share how amazing you can feel mentally and physically. I would love to take people and say, if you're having even some mental health challenges, the amount of people I cry for people so I think taking a month like November to clean out your insides. If I was you, say this November, you can just start now. But say for next November, I'm going to be much more prepared next November. You could take a day off or 2 days off on a Thursday and Friday, and go keto on the Wednesday evening, and just get yourself ready. Put everything in your fridge, everything in your house that you need, and get going. And you will go over the hump, because it takes I would say it takes 2 days of absolute determination, but it really takes probably 4 or 5 days of absolute determination and to switch to fat burning. So the thing about ketogenic diet is it will put you into fat burning mode. Your body can use, my body is currently, I just peed on one of those keto sticks and I'm at number 8 millimoles. I am fat burning at the moment. My body, my liver is converting my fat into ketones. And that means it's burning my own fat. I have also eaten my meals today, so some of that has been turned into glucose. So anything that is protein that I've eaten, I ate a good bit of protein now. The ketogenic diet is actually kind of 70 or 80% fat, 10 or 15 or 20% protein, and the rest is carbohydrates, high fiber carbohydrates like cruciferous vegetables, which are Brussels sprouts, broccoli. I eat arugula, which is also called rocket. It's called rocket leaves over here in Ireland. It's called arugula in the States. It's a dark leafy green kind of, and it's absolutely brilliant. But unfortunately in Lidl, the company that produces have started washing the leaves. So basically you're just getting a bag of green mush, which is inedible. I've eaten it a few times, but it's like slimy. But that is actually, that green leafy vegetable is very, very good. So I must get it in Tesco. They have, I don't know, what is the obsession with washing the lettuce leaves, especially something like that? But anyway, I won't even get into that. I don't want to make a political statement about rocket leaves being washed or not. It just means that they're unpleasant then to buy. You can't really make a salad because you're just putting a plop of, slimy, wet leaves. So that kind of food is considered the carbohydrate part of that 5 or 10%. So that is, but to be honest, it's kind of net carbs 0 because there's so much fiber. Like I had a stick of celery tonight, so I ate that first, and eating the fiber first slows down the processing of anything else that comes behind it, which would be maybe the cheese, which would have a lot of protein in it. Protein always converts to glucose. Protein doesn't release much insulin, but if any insulin is released, the glucose in the blood that's produced from the protein that you ate will be stored as fat if you don't require it on a calorie level, for your existence, which is unlikely. So I should be keeping my protein reasonably low. I don't really watch it, which is probably why I'm not losing weight. So, but anyway, I have lost some weight. I am absolutely thrilled with how I feel. I'm absolutely thrilled with the level of energy I have. I'm absolutely thrilled about the way things are going. So I can't complain, really, to be honest. And that's it. I think join me, like get going, join me. It's not too late. It's only the 11th. Join me now. I was thinking about it today. I might even continue it into December. Till maybe the middle of December. I think it's going so well. Like it's so weird, but you feel like you're just sweeping out. If you have a room sometimes in a shed or something, and there's all dust or whatever. I feel like I'm sweeping all that out, and it feels great. It feels amazing. I even noticed my eyesight is better now. I have pretty good eyesight. Like I can read this small writing here. But my eyesight is better. My hearing is better. Everything feels a bit sharper, a bit better, a bit, something. My nails are fantastic, but I have to admit, I must be the only person left on the planet with naked nails. Who is with me? Nobody. And you know what? It was funny, but before I did keto, I would have been embarrassed about stuff like that if I didn't kind of fit in and whatever. Now I feel so confident. I think that is one of the massively surprising. Look at my man hands. I was born with these. I was a very pudgy baby, but I'm quite a big build. It comes with the family problem. But I never feel stressed or upset or anxious being out in public with these natural nails. I don't. If you're an anxious person, you should do the ketogenic diet. Oh, it's a game changer. I wouldn't consider myself to be anxious, but we all used to worry. I do not worry about anything. I'm very confident, and even carrying, like I'm making videos, and I'm not like any skinny mini, which is what people kind of expect when they see kind of keto and you're getting fasting. I am confident that this is working really well, and even it's starting on the inside. The first place the fat will be burnt off is from your liver. Number one, the visceral fat. So you have 3 fat stores. You have your internal fat is the visceral fat. There's nothing really wrong with visceral fat if it's at a small quantity. The problem is that most of us are carrying around, we're packed. Do you ever get that feeling when you're really packed on the inside? That's the visceral fat. The visceral fat is a spillover from liver fat. Liver fat is so most people are walking around. There's definitely 45%. They reckon it's 85% of the population in the Western world have fatty liver, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Fatty liver was always associated with alcoholics in the past, and now it's associated with the general population. In fact, the non-alcoholic fatty liver has by far overtaken the alcoholics with fatty liver. So the overspill of that is the visceral fat and your inside that goes all around your organs and everything. Your other organs tend not to store the fat in their tissue, but they're storing the fat. So that fat is putting pressure. Then you're also gathering up what we call plaquing inside your veins. So that's what causes strokes, heart attacks, and that's why people get in stents. So basically they're getting in a stent, and the stent opens up that artery that might have gotten so clogged that you're just about to have a heart attack and collapse. And those stents last about 7 years, I think 7 to 10 years, and you will have to get them done again. And they basically just open it up wider so that all that stuff, you haven't cleaned out the plaque. So I'm so amazing. I have cleaned out the plaque. My triglyceride to HDL ratio, as I said, is 0.38. It should be less than 1.5. Read Dr. Lustig's Metabolical. So that's that. And then also I feel like there is no sugar floating around. Like cancer loves sugar. There is no, I'm not hypoglycemic, I'm not hyperinsulinemic, so I'm not spiking my insulin all day long. I'm having occasional bouts. I'm not going to get cancer because I ate sugar over Christmas. If I'm doing like 4, 5, 6 years of porridge in the morning, a scone at tea break, I could be very slim. I know lots of very slim people, including my brother, who died of cancer. You are eating a rapid lunch or sandwich or some potatoes or whatever you have on your plate. Potatoes are real sugar bombs. I absolutely love potatoes. They're my favorite thing ever. Garlic potatoes. Oh man. Fridays in Kinsale in County Cork have the best garlic potatoes I've ever eaten. So delicious. Really good food. And then you have all these carbs that you're loading up. You're having nachos. You're sitting down eating nachos. I was that person. I thought I was healthy. I wasn't that fat. The only reason I put on the massive amount of money was I was driving money. How should I say that? The massive amount of weight was I was driving a lot, and I was just in the car too long, like 5, 6 hours a day commuting. Man, I could not believe that I put on that much weight that fast. It was incredible, and it was more the discomfort drove me. I had a very bad pain under my left rib that drove me to do something. Otherwise, maybe I wouldn't have just... I think we kind of all expect to become kind of overweight and a bit slobby as we get older. And it turns out that doesn't need to happen. What a shocker. I mean, jeepers, this is the kind of information we need. Not like, oh, you're going to get sick. You're going to be overweight. You're going to have chronic illness. No, you will get old. That is a fact. That's a fact. So anyway, so I think it's very important. But remember to take your electrolytes. You will have to take them. If you're on the ketogenic diet and you're fasting, you must take sodium, potassium. They're the two big ones, sodium chloride and potassium. Magnesium, I buy the cheap one in Tesco. It's perfectly good. I think, obviously, if you have lots of money, magnesium should be taken in the evening, really, if you're taking the posh magnesium, because I find it puts me to sleep immediately. So if you have bad night's sleep, take some magnesium at night. The good one from the health food shop, but I buy the cheap one because I take it earlier in the day. I take the cheap, shitty magnesium from Tesco. Apparently it doesn't absorb very well, but obviously I'm getting enough of it, I think. Very good for the brain as well, very good for your muscles. It's, any cramping you have and everything, that'll get rid of all of that. Potassium, great for the blood pressure. So you do need sodium. Now, the reason I increase my potassium is not stored in the body, which sodium is stored in the body. So potassium tends to drain out. So if I take a tablet, maybe a couple of hours later, if I'm drinking a lot of water, that's gone because I'm in ketosis. So my body's dumping out water because for every globule of fat that's stored, there's a globule of water. So every time my liver takes up a piece of my old fat, and there's plenty of it, believe me, it's also going to release some water. So it's using the fat to turn into ketones, and then the water goes out. That's driving the potassium out of my body. So that's why I've decided to take extra potassium. Anyway, so join me, Fasting November. It's going great. Let's do it.